Donald Trump is displeased at some of the criticism he's getting from the likes of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. In fact, Chuck Schumer recently was on Morning Joe, and I think he made a pretty strong argument for how incredibly unprepared and incompetent Donald Trump has really been throughout this pandemic. Take a look.
This is terrible. My governor, who's doing a great job, my mayor, I think he's doing a very fine job. They're calling all over the place for equipment, for ventilators or for masks or for PPE. And that's because the system that the administration has put in place is horrible. I am sending a letter to the president. We need him to put in charge a czar of the whole production and distribution of these materials under the DPA. That should be a military man. The military knows how to get lots of materials in lots of different places quickly. Somebody who knows quartermastering, who knows logistics, who knows command and control. I have to tell you, I spoke to Professor Mr. Navarro, who was in charge. I was very disappointed. He's a good man. He's a professor. He knows a lot about China. He knows nothing about this. So I am calling on the administration to put in charge of both production and distribution of materials, a military man as czar under the DPA. As you may remember, I called the president 2 weeks ago. I said, enact the DPA. He said I would. And then 3 hours later, he changed his mind.
So Trump went on a Twitter rampage following that video of Chuck Schumer. And so he said the following: somebody please explain to crying Chuck Schumer that we do have a military man in charge of distributing goods, a very talented admiral, in fact. New York has gotten far more than any other state, including hospitals and a hospital ship. But no matter what, always complaining, it wouldn't matter if you got 10 times what was needed. It would never be good enough. Unlike other states, New York, unfortunately, got off to a late start. Okay, rich for him to say something like that. He also says you should have pushed harder, stop complaining, and find out where all these supplies are going. Cuomo working hard. Now, keep in mind that the federal government did not do proper maintenance on the ventilators that we desperately need right now. And as a result, our stockpile of ventilators includes equipment that is unusable. He minimized and belittled the COVID-19 crisis and didn't take it seriously until the last minute. I mean, it's so to call governors who are struggling right now complainers, it blows my mind.
So we have as serious a situation as you could possibly imagine. Everybody is talking about how we're on a war footing. We lead the world in number of coronavirus cases, 250,000 approximately, people dying all across the country. And we got a president who's still doing childish nicknames like, oh yeah, you're crying Chuck Schumer. Really? I don't know that it was ever appropriate for the president to be a child, but it's certainly not appropriate now. And instead of taking responsibility, the buck stops here. Of course, he legendarily said a couple of weeks ago, I have no responsibility at all. I take no responsibility at all for any of this. He's such a sick man. He now says, no, it's not me. It's not me. It's the governors. They're sitting there complaining like a bully. In a schoolyard, taunting, though. It's not me. Yeah, I pulled her pigtails, but she said something mean to me first. But right, I mean, not third grade. People are dying. There's body bags piled up in front of hospitals.
Exactly. And you hear all of these ridiculous talking points about the importance of unity right now. So anyone who's critical of Trump, or even, weird ways of like stretching to blame Bernie Sanders for not unifying the Democratic Party right now. We should be unified because of COVID. Like, it's nonstop, right? But I bring that up, Cenk, because what Trump has done in telling all these governors to fend for themselves is he's created a situation where it's every man for themselves, right? And so it's by its very nature not a very unifying way to handle this. And what's the whole point of the federal government? The federal government is supposed to be in place to protect us and lead us in situations like this, in crises like this. And by the way, as a progressive, I'm not the only one who thinks that, because Republican Governor Kasich had some pretty strong words for Trump as well. Take a look.
This morning, the president is tweeting attacks at governors, saying that they're asking for too much. Yeah. Where is this coming together that everybody's been calling for?
It's inappropriate, Jim. You can't do that. And the fact of the matter is, if I were president, I would have the Bezoses and the Walmart executives, I would set them free. I am told by people who are in the bowels of the logistics operation in our country that the bureaucrats are holding it up. They need to be our heroes. They need to be our leaders, and that has to come from the top. And, in fact, the president needs to let his cabinet know, get your people doing their job and bring the best people in, the people that do this all the time, how you deliver, how you make, how you manufacture, how you distribute. We're America. America doesn't fall short on this kind of stuff. If we are free to go on, we need to fix it. And it has to come from the top. And none of this attacking governors. They have a legitimate complaint. Answer them.
Yeah, and I actually want to add to what Kasich said there, Cenk. Let's go to the last graphic here, because this was something that I don't think most Americans know. At a time when our healthcare providers, the doctors and the nurses on the front lines, battling COVID-19, need emergency equipment, they need protective gear. Turns out that some of the private companies in the United States are actually shipping out these products to foreign countries that are purchasing them. So Politico reported the government has yet to curtail exports by U.S. companies. Roughly 280 million masks in warehouses around the United States were purchased by foreign buyers on Monday alone. A FEMA spokesperson said the agency has not actively encouraged or discouraged U.S. companies from exporting overseas, noting that various U.S. agencies are coordinating their activities with their overseas counterparts. What are we doing?
No, that's insane, man. This is exactly the what's wrong with incompetent management. So Trump claimed America first. If ever there was a time for America first, it's right now, because we're leading the world in coronavirus cases. Philosophically, I love helping the rest of the world. I think it's a great role for America. I think it buys a lot of goodwill, and it has not only a moral component to it that is so important, but also it helps us economically down the road, et cetera. But right now, we have a shortage of masks in this country. Not only should everyone have masks, because scientists just warned the White House yesterday. This is something we already knew, but the further information on it doubles down on what we were worried about. You can contract coronavirus by talking to people in the same room, by breathing the same air in the same room, by breathing. It is way more contagious than other diseases. It lasts in an enclosed space 2 to 3 hours. It's not in droplet form. It's in much smaller aerosol form. Not only does the whole country need it, but there are nurses and doctors that don't have masks right now. Insanity, insanity. They're playing Russian roulette with their lives. Article after article, I'm seeing this number, 10% of doctors and nurses that are getting coronaviruses. And those are the ones taking incredible precautions. You're sending people into the front lines without masks because our guys want to make a buck, and they just sent 280 million masks to other countries? Oh, for Christ's sake. Then America first doesn't mean anything. You know what it is? It's dollars first. It's profit first. It's greed first. That's what it is. So no, look, I want to help other countries, but right now we need to help. We need to help. We need every mask we can get. You should not go into any enclosed space without a mask. But our guys are going, oh, hey, no, other countries, I guess they're paying more. So I'm going to make an extra buck by giving it to other countries and not to you, not to your family, not to your neighbors, not to your parents. It's unconscionable. Look, even Kasich, he's a Republican, right? So his answer is to free the executives at Walmart and Amazon, to free them? Like, of course, the Republican answer is always like, how do I put my beloved corporate donors on a pedestal? But even Kasich says, my God, man, of course you're supposed to be coordinating at the top, because that's where you are. The governor of Ohio and Arkansas are not at the top. The president is at the top. He's supposed to coordinate all the states, all the emergency measures. Look, they had a report written out, handed to them. They had so many reports written out, not just by the Obama administration, handed to him, which he put on a shelf and never used. We discussed that before. Ken Klippenstein, used to be our reporter, now at The Nation, broke such an important story. The Pentagon, 2 weeks before Trump got into office, finished the report and handed it to Trump, saying a virus just like this would break out. And you need to be prepared. And the most important thing you need to prepare is medical supplies. Meanwhile, Trump, as late as the end of February, said soon, quote, the cases is now the quote, going down to close to zero. That was about a month ago, and he thought the cases were going to be down to zero. And just a couple of days ago, he said, oh, if only 200,000 people die, not the number of cases, we're already at 250,000. If 200,000 people die, that'll be a success. Total, utter incompetence as a leader. And look at where we started the story. The fool is sitting there watching MSNBC to see what they're going to say about him. Because still at this late date, he cannot get past it because it's pathological. His narcissism drives everything. Does not care about you. Only cares about himself because he's a sick, sick man.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.